Welcome everyone to another episode of TPC. We're going to be talking about the Commanders-Packers. I am joined with one of my friends, Yazi Tillahun. Yazi, what is the big factors heading this game with the Commanders versus Packers? What do you believe on that?
I'm very confident in our high-roaring offense coming in from last year as well. And definitely, this is our first actual test of the season. The Giants game, although we had a really good offense, got Debo started early, I still don't think that was a good enough test just because they're not known as a good Week 1 team and they're bottom of the NFC East. So I'm really just confident to see Jaden Daniels play against a tougher defense, a tougher front four, and known Micah Parsons was a division rival, now on the Packers. And I'm a little bit worried about our O-line just because we have a rookie on the right end, and he's never played right tackle before.
No.
Although I'm very confident with Laramie Tunsil, he's been very good so far. Allowed no sacks, no pressures, and, I'm really excited for our offense.
I am too. The Commanders, they're my favorite to win the NFC East, as a Cowboys fan, but I do believe y'all are going to win the division this year. Looking at Jaden Daniels last week, he looked very poised. That mid-accuracy with him, it got better, I can tell with that. I know the Giants are the worst team in the league. They haven't scored a touchdown in Week 1 since, 2020, I think. No, 2021.
Yeah, I didn't know that, actually. But
yes, it's very bad. I mean, maybe this Giants team is probably the worst team, but I do where you say this. This game is a big part. This is going to take where you are. But the same goes with the Packers. I mean, the Packers went into one at home against the Lions, 27-13. That game was kind of like a one-side show, pretty much. The Lions couldn't do anything offensively. I mean, a new mindset. Defense, they did pretty good, but the big factor I look at this game is going to be pressuring Jordan Love. Y'all had one of the most pressures last week among the Cowboys, Steelers, third most in the week, 42.2 if I'm correct with that, most pressures. And Jordan Love didn't get pressure at all. He had 0 sacks, almost only 6 pressures last week against the Lions, but I think that is going to be a big part, is applying pressure on Jordan Love. And y'all's D-line was one of the best last year, too, with that. Losing Deontay Flower was a big loss. But adding Kinlaw, adding Goldman, and Daron Payne is a big help right there. And a veteran help with Von Miller and Armstrong with that. So, I mean, y'all's front seven is one of the best in the league with y'all's veteran help. But I look at this matchup, it's kind of, I saw the thing. Y'all are the oldest team in the NFL. You're playing the youngest team in the NFL.
Average 28 years old.
28, and then the Packers are the youngest team in the NFL, so it's a good matchup. I think I look at this game. These two teams are the only two teams I think that could beat the Eagles. They're the top contenders in my opinion, the juggernauts that could dethrone the Eagles. Because the Packers last year, I mean, that was Week 1 last year, and in the playoff game against them in Wild Card, they lost twice, and they wanted to ban the tush push. And y'all, of course, y'all split the series in season 2-2. But y'all didn't play Jalen Hurts one game, and then y'all played in the playoffs, and then we saw what happened there in the NFC Championship. But, I mean, heading this game, though, I think it's going to be, can they put pressure on Jaden? I think that's the Packers' mindset, is if you put pressure on Jaden, we'll see how he does. But we know how Jaden is, though. He can skip the pocket, he can explore, get the first down. That's the biggest threat of Jaden's ability right there compared with other quarterbacks. But what is your big factors you think, taking down the Packers on the road? This is your first test.
First and foremost, I think defense wins games, and I'm very confident with our defense because our secondary has changed pretty significantly.
Definitely.
We have Marshawn Lattimore having his first fresh start coming out of training camp because last year, as we know, he only played his first full game, if I'm not mistaken, against Mike Evans, right, in the playoffs.
Mike Evans, yes.
First round, game. Which, of course, Mike Evans will be Mike Evans. He'll make those tough catches, and against an old division rival, it was already a tough matchup. So I'm very confident with our front seven, of course. Frankie Louisville, Bobby Wagner. We got some veterans, and I'm confident that we can stop their offense a couple of times just to give our own offense some time to work because we already started Debo off early, got him his touchdown Week 1, which is what we needed to get him involved and make him a threat on our team. So, yeah.
I see what you mean with that. This offense, I mean, the Commanders' offense is one of the best offenses with Jaden Daniels. And you are facing a former player in your division, Micah Parsons. Stats last year, he had 4 sacks total in 2 games. 6 sacks in the total of those games.
Against us?
Against y'all last year at Commanders and Dallas too. Y'all playing a former opponent with that, and depends where he's going to line up pretty much. I think if you could stop Micah Parsons, I think that's going to be a big factor. I'm sorry that we traded him away, but, we're going to play in week 2. But, it just, this game is going to be a big factor. I think this game decides who wins the NFC. Pretty much, that's where I stand with this game. I mean, of course, you have the Rams, the Eagles are still there, but I don't believe in the Eagles, especially last week. Their performance, I mean, they couldn't get it. The receivers got locked down. And speaking of a lockdown receiver, was Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin did not have the best game last week against a weak secondary, a young secondary against the Giants. But Debo did help with that. And there are rumors that Nate Hobbs will be back, their number 1 corner. The Packers defense, though, that looked dangerous last week. That's the thing. Is that defense looked really good. We haven't seen this Packers defense like that since probably when they went to the Super Bowl, pretty much. I mean, with the Clay Matthews, Charles Woodson, and all those guys, pretty much. I mean, that was the last time we saw that kind of defense. Now they have a star power with Micah Parsons, I have Rashawn Gary, and then Quan Walker, and then Cooper too, and you still have Zary McKinney in the back end. So it's going to be a test for Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels last year, people say the luck of them. They were a lucky team last year with the wins. But there's a point, though, when is luck going to end? Is the luck going to finally get tested again in Green Bay? This is one of the toughest environments on Thursday night and a quick turnaround for both these teams, after quick Sunday. If you had to say who is going to be the X factor for this team, who is going to be has to step up for the Commanders this week?
Honestly, for me, I think it's our run game because we do have a new rookie, Krosky Merritt.
Yes,
he's played really good so far. And, of course, we let go of Brian Robinson, although, I loved him. He's a great running back, pretty much a veteran for our team. But we have to move on. We have pay cuts to do. We have a young player alongside with Austin Eckler, which I consider our receiving back, a very versatile flex player, And Noah Brown also played pretty good. I watched him last week. He had very good route running. He looked like he knew his plays. He knew his motions. And honestly, Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, no bias, I think he's the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now.
There's a lot.
We weren't as aggressive as we were last year just because we played a division rival, but I think that all ends right when we walk into Lambeau Field.
That is a big test because people are going to see can this Commanders team finally make a big statement. You said earlier, the Giants wasn't a good test. It was just the Giants. And this is a true test with the Green Bay Packers with their kind of team. I look at the Packers. They're very talented. They're a very talented group. They've been to the playoffs, 2 years in a row with Jordan Love. Right. And Jordan Love, last year, he was unhealthy. But the thing is, when Jordan Love is healthy, he's arguably one of the best quarterbacks. We saw what he did to the Cowboys and in the Niners in the playoffs in 2023 when he looked like an MVP candidate and people said he's the future of this league. And last week we kind of saw that Jordan Love, the old Jordan Love, and that looks scary in my opinion. He only had 188 yards, nothing too crazy stats with that decent Lions defense. I just think this game is just going to be like the trench war and who's going to win because you do have a rookie tackle and Lambert Tunsil on the end. And in y'all's defense, you said your biggest concern is the secondary versus that receiver group. They don't have that many receivers. That's the thing. They don't have a true number one.
Jordan Love is the main threat.
Main threat because he can throw it. And then I call the Packers receiver core the mid core. They're just mid players. We'll see how Matthew Golden does.
Always
pretty much
been like that, yeah.
That's it, yes with that because Devontae Adams. It's always been like that through the issues. Jordan Nelson with the Aaron Rodgers. But now they're in an era of just they have weapons, but it's they're not the best. And we know Matthew Golden. We'll see how he does this game. They just gave a contract extension to Christian Watson. I don't know if he's playing this week. Jaden Reed, of course, too. And they're tight end and Kraft. But, I mean, y'all's defense did really good against the run also. And they have Josh Jacobs right there. And I think if Josh Jacobs can win at the line of scrimmage, I think y'all are going to have a tough night. That's the biggest factor of mine. And then also, if Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin can't build that connection in this game.
Our offense is definitely the X factor in this game because I think in order to stop Jordan Love, our front four has to come and put a lot of pressure on him because we all know Jordan Love under pressure isn't him.
No,
he won't make his reads, he won't make his passes. And we have Mike Sanderstrill, sophomore corner, very good. He's playing good alongside with Marshawn Lattimore. I honestly think if we can get some pressures on Jordan Love, that'll be a ball game for us.
Yeah, I do think that too. I think if you put pressure on Jordan Love, this game will go to the Commanders. But if you gave Jordan too much time, I think Jordan's just going to sit back there, dip park y'all's defense, and look pretty atrocious with that. But this game will go down to the wire. I think this is going to be I'm happy this happened early in the season, but not later, so we could see both these teams, see where they're at, who is the contender, who's not a contender. Only one can win. If I had to say a team who's going to win this game, of course you're going to take Commanders. I'm honestly going to take. I'm a side right now. I hate the Packers, but also dislike the Commanders. But I honestly think if y'all don't put pressure on Jordan, I think Jordan will win this game pretty much. So I will think I'm going to bet against y'all's D-line pretty much. I'm going to bet against.
It's vice versa as well. The Packers need to put pressure on Jaden Daniels because we all know how he is when he has time, and when he has time to scramble and get the ball out, he's unstoppable.
Yes, Jaden is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks. You go back to that one game against the Lions. I mean, the Lions tried their best putting pressure on him. That man was just going around them pretty much, getting the first down.
Game.
It was
I still rewatch that to this day.
I bet you do. I bet you do love watching that game. I wish I can watch the same exact game with the Cowboys, but I gotta go watch the 1995 games pretty much.
Time will tell, man. Time will tell.
If the Commanders do win this game, where do you think you're 2-0 heading into week 3? I don't know who y'all play week 3. I believe. Let me see. Who do y'all play week 3?
September. I do not know.
Let's see this. Week 3. I believe. I wonder if it's another division matchup.
I definitely think this win though will be an impact statement for either team.
Yes,
Packers win it. They start off 2-0 in their division, and they have the Bears that went 0-1 just the other day.
Okay, so week 3, y'all do play the Raiders. So you can easily, that's a good team. That's a good Raiders team. I think the Raiders are one of the underrated. I believe at home too. Yes, you're at home in that game. The Raiders are a decent team. This is going to be a very decent matchup. It's going to be. I think it's a chess matchup.
They're a very well-rounded team, man. Yeah.
Yes. Pete Carroll knows how to coach his team pretty much, and Geno Smith is not like a below average.
Geno Smith played crazy. I can't hold it.
Yeah, that dude Geno Smith is a good quarterback, underrated in this league. When he had a down year last year, but when him and Pete Carroll, when they're on the same clinic, he's easily a top 10 quarterback. And I mean, he led this team to the playoffs with Pete Carroll as his coach. But so we know that. Yeah. So I don't think y'all going to go in a stretch. Y'all can honestly go in a stretch starting 5-0, 6-0, maybe
That's what we need to win the division, to start off hot, get us some wins. So that way, if we lose any game, it happens, losing happens in the league. We're going to end up losing a couple of games. Hopefully that happens while we're more developed and not early on.
Yeah.
Because, last year we lost to the Bucs first for week 1. It was big blowout. Came back from the playoffs and beat them. So I'm a big fan of, letting the season move on, getting your team kind of more, getting more chemistry, playing along each other. So I really think this game, whoever wins it, will definitely have a very good start.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely agree with that. Both these teams do need a hot start because the NFC is I think the NFC this year is probably the hardest difficult. Who's going to win? Definitely, you don't know who wins in the NFC. Compared to the AFC.
Every single conference or every single what's the thing called? The division.
Division, pretty much. Our division, we haven't had a
division has a very tough team.
Yes, every division has a tough team, pretty much. I think our division is probably one of the toughest, in my opinion, because the Cowboys is high-power offense. Their defense is doing okay. Adding Kenny Clark, the Eagles are going to be the Eagles. We know how developed team they are, and the Giants. I mean, we don't know how the Giants are. We don't know if they're going to start Jackson Dart or keep Russell Wilson. We'll see how this week does against my Cowboys. I'll go later in the week talking about my Cowboys, of course. But this is mainly talking about the Packers and Commanders. But I do wish we had another person on the call. Sadly he didn't join us tonight, but it is fine.
He's scared. It's okay.
I know he is a little scared. I think he is scared about this matchup. So
I'd be lying though if I said I wasn't nervous. I'm definitely nervous for tomorrow. It's a big game coming up. First big game since way before the playoffs last year. So it's a lot we have to prove with a new team, a lot of new threats. We already have a lot of scars on our back. We went all the way to the NFC Championship, meaning we have a lot to prove.
You have a target. You have a target on your back, pretty much. You have a big target. Because last year y'all were like just the Commanders, 12-5,
Right.
the lucky team. Y'all win 2 road playoff games pretty much, then faced the Super Bowl champs pretty much in that game. But like y'all have a big target, and it's a big expectations because this year, everyone's been hitting Jaden though. Everyone's been saying he's going to have the sophomore slump. He's going to suck. He's going to be terrible. Arguably Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft. We saw what happened to Caleb Williams a couple nights ago. He started hot, but the overthrows, the simple throws, something not getting there. Jaden Daniels, we've never seen that type of game with him, except probably week 1 last year. Like Jaden Daniels is going to hit his throws.
Which makes sense. Yeah, like first start. And I think it's kind of lazy to put the sophomore slump title on him because we don't want to compare him to the other quarterbacks. He's obviously a very different breed.
He is.
No bias. He's one of the best rookies of all time. And I don't want to say the best because we've also had Dak Prescott, Ben Roethlisberger, very good rookie years.
Yeah, both those 2 rookie years, like Big Ben and Dak, of course. Dak going 13-3 as a 4th-round quarterback, winning Rookie of the Year also, leading that Cowboys team, almost beat the Green Bay Packers, but losing to the game-winning field goal. And that Pittsburgh Steelers team, Ben Roethlisberger led that team pretty much, had one of the best teams, went to the AFC Championship, I believe, that year too. But, like, Jaden Daniels, though, I mean, he had a historic year with the Commanders. Commanders pretty much brought back that football. You brought that excitement back. The football, you had your franchise quarterback. You brought it back.
Right.
It looked really good. Commanders fans haven't had this excitement since the 90s, pretty much. Since having...
Never, man. My whole life, man, that's...
It's been a while since the Commanders, living in the, the present. I do have high expectations for the Packers in this game. I will be taking the Packers in this game. I will be taking them around, 24-21. And it's going to go down to the nail bite, in my opinion.
Okay, I definitely do think it'll be a high-scoring game. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely shoot more than the 20s. I'll have us, of course,
Yes.
31-27.
31-27. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Yazi. Thank you again. I hope this is going to be a great game today, for both opponents. And, thank you for joining us today on the TPC episode.
Of course, thank you for having me.